What is going on, people? Welcome to Live Palace News. We're here Monday night, and honestly, the week couldn't have started any worse. As you can see from the title, Roy Hodgson's job is it under pressure, and that is according to reports and who could potentially be taken over and more. But as always, we want you to get involved, so make sure to leave a like, subscribe. Let's try to get over 100 likes as always, and also get involved in a live chat. And if you're watching a replay, leave down your comments in the comment section down below. Of course, there's going to be varying opinions. I'm not going to say who's right, who's wrong. Some people, before I do get started, some people already want Roy gone. Some people want him to stay. Some people want Parish gone. We're going to be discussing that. I want to hear from all of you on where you stand with the club. Where should we head towards? Where are we going towards right now with this management, and also the people that are leading the club as well in terms of the directors and the board? I'm joined by T here. My main man, T. It's been a while, man. You've been hiding.
Man, I'm hiding, working, whatever you want to say, man. But happy to be back with you, man, for real.
Yeah, man. What about my background? It's a bit different than a wardrobe.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, man. It looked like you in the music studio about
We
to
have to
cut
get
out,
serious,
bro.
man. When I saw the title, when I saw the reports, I was like, we have to get serious. We can't be playing about with wardrobe at the back. But look, there's some comments already coming through as well. But before we do get started, let me go through the actual report that came out today, and that was according to the Telegraph. Which I'll be honest, I'm a bit surprised by it. I don't know about you, T, but we'll get your thoughts after I go through it. The report basically suggests that Roy Hodgson is facing increased pressure at Crystal Palace after poor results. But an interesting thing in the report is that, but the manager has the backing of the co-owner, Steve Parish. So Roy Hodgson under pressure, according to the Telegraph, but has the backing of Steve Parish. T,
Of course he does.
what's going on?
Of course he has the support of Steve Parrish. I mean, Steve Parrish is the whole reason why Roy has a whole nother year with us. I mean, we talked about this last year when even before they had decided to bring him back, but even more when they decided to, you knew that, well, and a lot of us said, a lot of people have said that it was not the right move. He should have just been there for the 10 games that he came in to do, and they should let him go after that. And when they decided to bring him back for another year, one of the first things that people were talking about is the fact that he is going to end up having a rough patch, and people are going to turn on him. We knew it was going to happen. You knew it was going to happen. It's like they should have let that. Like they should let him, and he should have let himself. Because let me not say that it's both parties in this. He should let himself go out on top. I feel like Crystal Palace fans were more in love with Roy, with what he did in those final 10 games, than at any other point. Like people
But do you understand it though? We had a difficult season under Vieira. We didn't win a game for like 3 months. And then you come in and you're playing attacking football, you're well defensively. And I'll be honest, look, the thing with YouTube is that there are receipts. So you can go back and you can look at what was said at the time. And before the season started, I did say that there's two things that I'm going to look at. And the main thing is, can he carry that momentum from last season to this season? Because as I said in the match reaction after the Luton defeat, there were some positives in Vieira's game, even when he left. It wasn't a complete disaster. We couldn't score goals, yes, but we had, the possession side of the game. We had some positives, the patterns of play. And I think Roy Hodgson took over from that, and he made us better by allowing us to be a bit more free in attack. But then again, slowly, as you let go of Vieira and you bring in Roy Hodgson, I was always looking at this season thinking, can we carry that on? Can we carry that on now that, all that work that Vieira's done, it will slowly go away. That momentum will fold. And what's going to happen then? And I'll be honest, we're kind of seeing glimpses of it, even against Luton. You might say it's only one game, but you had nearly your best 11 out there. Maybe if Jordan Ayew started, it would have been the best. And despite that, I didn't see much attacking patterns of play or anything really that great in possession. We struggled against Luton. And I think that's a result of the work being undone, the good that Vieira had being undone. And now we're back to how Roy Hodgson actually likes to play football.
And it's one of those things, like, you knew that he was going to run out of ideas. Like, you knew it. And it worked for those 10 games. It did. But you knew at some point during the season, we're going to run out of ideas. It was going to get stale. Like, we've seen before, and it has. And now you've got this vitriol for Roy, and even more vitriol for Steve Parrish now. Um, after making this move, and the thing about it is, the question is, like you said, like, should he be under pressure? Yes, he should. Here's why I say so: because when Patrick Vieira went through what he went through, and we decided to fire him, he had a much harder run of games, a much harder run. And
I can
now
actually say that. I think personally, I don't know about you, but I think this run of games that we're having right now is arguably worse than Vieira's due to the opponents that we're playing. Under
obviously,
Vieira, the opponents that we're playing were much better in terms of quality.
And that's why he should be under pressure, because you're losing to Luton. Luton hadn't won a home match yet. You lose to Luton. You lose to Everton, who were not that good. We're on a good run of play, but honestly, they weren't that great. So we are now not only not getting decisions, because a lot of what was happening with Vieira was getting a lot of ties, a lot of draws. But now we're talking about Roy, who's losing matches too. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I think what is it 4 of the last 5 we lost, or 5 of the last 6, something like that? Like, if we're comparing apples to apples, yes, you should be under pressure.
Yeah, and look, there's a comment here from Ron. He's saying, I feel a little sorry for Roy. He hasn't got the squad that he wanted. At the same time, the tactics are not good enough. Why not try the youth? And in terms of why not try the youth, I don't know about you, T, but we've known about this. I mean, he's not in favor of the youth. Like,
you're not going to get that.
That's the type of manager he is, and he has worked for him in the past. So that's that youth question answered. But do you think that we're in this position not just because of Roy's tactics alone, because of course that plays a part to it, but also because of the lack of competency from the board to actually strengthen the squad in summer, which we spoke about. We spoke about on deadline day. We've done like a 3 to 4 hour stream. We always speak about it. Why leave it last minute? And once again, we didn't strengthen, the position that we needed to do. So do you think if Roy's under pressure, do you think those at the top should also be, asked questions about why we're in this position?
I agree. I think so. But I think that the problem with that is, who are the ones that ask the questions? Because if it's the fans, we've been asking those questions and nothing's changed. So I guess the question has to be, who's asking the questions of them? Because Steve Parrish is being questioned. The board is being questioned, mostly by the fans. And as much power as we hold, do we hold enough to where those changes can get made? Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. I think it just depends on the situation. It depends on how dire the situation is or can become. But do I think they need to be asked questions? Absolutely, because you created a perfect storm of lack of ambition when it comes to movement and transfer work, along with lack of development from your manager in terms of the young guys. I mean, we spent $20 million on França, and we don't see him. We don't. When Eze goes down,
transfers, the money spent.
When Eze goes down hurt, you don't see him. When you got Eze back in, when you got Lise back in, when França is now healthy, has gotten his legs underneath him, you still see Jeff Schlupp at left wing.
That's what I'm saying. It's a combination of things. It's a combination of things.
It's a combination that is really hurting us, D.
Yeah. Look, people, if you're enjoying this, make sure to smash the like button, please. It takes a second of your time, helps the algorithm, helps the channel grow. The more people that we can reach, the more opinions that we can have, the more interesting it gets as well. So make sure to hit the like button if you haven't already done so. And I agree. Look, I want to continue because the report didn't end there. There were further reports after Roy's job is under pressure came out that, who could take over from Roy? And this is not going to sound a surprise to me or to you, but for some of you, it might be. But according to reports, Paddy McCarthy, there was two reports. Assistant manager Paddy McCarthy, the first report was from Matt Law at the Daily Telegraph. He said that assistant manager Paddy McCarthy has been groomed for potentially succeeding Hodgson, whether that be at the end of the season or if Palace are dragged into relegation danger, that they are forced to make a change earlier. So the report from him was that, he will be the next in line to take over potentially. But there's also conflicting reports as well. There's one from Manzi Bobby, who he's a reporter for the Eagles Beak, who's a Palace, how do I put the Eagles Beak? Blog channel. They write articles. I like the Eagles Beak personally. They do some great work over there. But from the Eagles Beak, he said the following. He said that Paddy McCarthy is not being considered to replace Roy Hodgson. And also, Roy Hodgson's job is not under immediate pressure. However, a failure to revive Palace's form leading into the new year could force the club's hands to make a change in the dugout. So, we'll talk about Paddy, because I think we have to talk about Paddy, because we spoke about it before as well. So the reports are suggesting that there's two ways of looking about it. If his job is not under pressure now, even the conflicting report is saying he will be under pressure come New Year's if we don't pick up many results, which the chance of that is very high. It's higher than low, because you look at the teams that we're going to face after Bournemouth and West Ham, and it's going to be a struggle anyways. So I think, his job will be under pressure based on both of the reports. But Paddy McCarthy is not being considered, says one report. He's being considered, says another report. For you, if Roy was to leave, is now the time for Paddy to take over? Because I'll be honest here, I have nothing against Paddy McCarthy. And he's done brilliant for the club. I think he's a good coach as well. I give him credit. I remember the Brentford game where I felt like he played a big factor into us getting a point out of that game in terms of his tactical suggestions to Roy. But being a manager and giving suggestions, two different things. True. Now, I mean, he hasn't got that managerial experience. Are we trying to go down the route of what Arsenal are trying to do with Arteta? He was following Pep, and then we got Paddy McCarthy following Roy. For me, I think a more experienced manager needs to come in. We need to stop being cheap. Let Paddy might be one of the best managers out there. He might be, but no one knows right now. Let him go get that experience. Being a manager is not just about tactics. It's not just about, you do possession, this and that. It's about managing the squad. And that's the one credit that we did give Roy when he did come in, because he boosted the confidence of the likes of Eze, Mitchell, etc. That's a role of a manager as well. And with Paddy, there's lots of elements involved that, yes, he's getting this experience now, but he needs to have first-hand experience at a lower level. Then afterwards, I think he should be considered as a manager. But if Roy was to leave, T, how would you feel if Paddy was to take over? I know some reports are saying potentially that won't happen and potentially that could happen. There's conflicting reports. But for you, T, talk to me.
I think it's Paddy. I think it's always been Paddy, if I'm being quite honest with you, because it seems like the type of thing that we would do. You give a very good example with Arteta as kind of, I guess you would say, a template. And wouldn't be surprised if someone like Steve Parrish sees it as we could do the same thing along the same lines and not spend anywhere near as much money as Arsenal did in bringing Mikel Arteta in. You know what I'm saying? They had to change.
It's risky, though. It's risky. Arsenal's different to
it is.
Crystal Palace.
Horrible idea. I think it's a horrible idea in this case, to be honest with you. I think the only, for me, with when it comes to Paddy McCarthy, I think the only redeeming quality is the fact that he has at least some type of grasp over the talent that we have in our academy and what that can mean as far as bringing some of those guys along. But other than that, I think that's probably the biggest, maybe even the only, like I said, redeeming quality that he has as far as stepping into that role. But once again, we've seen the inept nature of our front office when it comes to either bringing in playing talent or bringing in managing talent. And I think a lot of it may be down to Steve Parrish and how he goes about doing things. So in the event that we were to get rid of Roy, whether it be now, whether it be in January, whether it be at the end of this season, you just don't have the confidence in the fact that our front office will bring in somebody who's truly competent or who truly can make a change or bring in, let me say, make a sustained change. Because Roy came in and Roy made a change. He did see a significant change in our squad.
100%. We improved under him. End of last season, played some fantastic football as well. Not just a change. We were scoring goals, defending well. But now, if you can't defend, I mean, in attack, there's always question marks with Roy's teams.
But it needs to be sustained.
Well. You have to be defending well, and if we can't be doing that, then you ask like serious questions about what can we do then.
Yeah, we need to have sustained success. We need to have. We need to progressively see change and improvement, especially what we're seeing in our attack too. And unfortunately, I hate to say that it's already started to stagnate. I was hoping that it would run a little bit longer before we saw a stagnant possible period, but it's come a little bit earlier than I expected.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I'm not surprised about Paddy being rumored to take over potentially, even though that's not confirmed because of different reports. I'm surprised about Roy's job being under pressure. Where this is coming from, because it's coming from the Telegraph. But what's the source? Because Roy's job is under pressure potentially, but Steve Parish wants to keep him. So is it once again? Are we seeing the problem at the top level with this football club, which I've said for a long time, that you can get rid of Roy Hodgson, you can bring in Paddy, you can do whatever you want, but if you don't sort out the roof, then forget about having a bedroom, having a manager, because the roof is the owners of the club, and the roof right now is about to crack open, it's about to fall down. That's how I see it. And if Steve Parish wants one thing and he's running a football club and the Americans want another thing, then we're here once again. We're here once again with different views. You can always have different views. I'm not saying all the owners should have, the same views, same opinions, everything. But when you hear reports about them not getting along as much, and then you hear a big decision such as a manager, keep Roy, don't keep Roy, sack Vieira, don't sack Vieira. And after Vieira got sacked, there was suggestions that certain owners did want to keep Vieira at the end of it. It makes it even more tricky for me to say this is going to be the right or the wrong decision, because cool, you can sack Roy. It's easy. That's an easy thing to do. But then again, is the solution going to be any better than what we have right now? I don't know. I don't know. Because a new manager, if we want to be serious about a new manager, ideally you want to give them the budget to spend. We've got a decent squad, but depending on who the new manager is, they might want to get one or two players. But with how we are, the one or two players, I don't know if we will go get them. Like, I don't know what's the thought process behind it. That's why we might want to keep Paddy, because he'll be maybe less demanding in terms of players and what he expects, because it'll be easier to manage.
And it's probably part of the reason why they brought Roy back. Why they gave him another year, because they knew that he wouldn't ask for much. They knew they knew what they were getting.
He did. No. You know what it is? Roy does ask for stuff like during the window. He speaks about it. He moans sometimes as well when the window's open. But as soon as it hits 12 o'clock, 11 p.m., as soon as the window is shut, and the next day they're asking questions, he's fine. He's fine. Yeah. He's not going to cause a fuss out in the
They knew
he's not
what
that
they
type
were
of manager,
getting.
which suits the narrative. Whereas another manager who might be a bit more demanding, will cause that fuss. And I think that's the difference between Roy and other managers. Because Roy just didn't have that backing. And I want to bring up this point from Kev. He's saying, are the people moaning about a £20 million second goalkeeper the same ones complaining that we do not have decent quality squad depth in other positions? Now, Kev, you can answer after me.
Mm-hmm.
Dean Henderson signing is there's nothing against Dean Henderson, because I do think he's a good goalie. It's the fact that we didn't have and strengthen the other positions that we needed to do. Now, if we have all the money in the world, spend 30 or 40 million pound on a backup goalie. But when you spend a 20 million pound on a second choice goalkeeper who's only played 18 minutes so far this season, who has an injury history, when we haven't replaced Aaron Wan-Bissaka ever since he left 3-4 years ago, where we haven't signed another forward and we left at last minute, that money could have been used elsewhere. Absolutely. Now, Dean Henderson, yes, there's nothing wrong with him, but it's about prioritizing. When you have a tight budget, having a second choice goalie as Dean Henderson has come to Palace, that sounds fine. That sounds great. Dean Henderson and Sam Johnson, that sounds fantastic. But we're not City. We're not all these other big teams that have massive budgets. We need to spend properly. And we've done two decisions that are big this summer. That was França for 20, Dean Henderson for 20. We're talking about £40 million on players potentially not contributing as much. that's when you can ask questions, because we haven't strengthened the other areas that we needed to strengthen. And that's why people are moaning about Dean Henderson, not because it's Dean Henderson coming to Crystal Palace. It's about looking at the money that we spend and could have we spent it elsewhere to improve the positions that need to be improved on. You can't sub on Dean Henderson, but you can sub on another right back, another goalie, and that could contribute massively to Palace in terms of winning games. I think that's where I stand with it. I don't know about you, T.
No, I mean, I mean, and I'm trying to really take in what the actual question is saying, because yeah, the people that are moaning about having a $20 million goalkeeper are also the people that are moaning that we don't have squad depth. I mean, I think the reason why they're moaning about having a 20, I think the reason why the people are moaning about having a $20 million second goalkeeper is because of the fact that money wasn't used on our squad depth. So I feel like those are the same people, to be honest with you, in a lot of senses. The thing that bothers me, man, is that you spend that type of money on those guys, and we see the moves that other teams made and the amount that they spent, and it's like there was so much that you could have done in that window with that same 40 million pounds, and you could have gotten so much more talent in other places that could have helped us in so much better ways. You know, like one that I keep coming back to, and not saying that he's lighting the world on fire, but like Callum Hudson-Odoi was 3 million pounds.
Yeah, high on wages, but then again, £3 million, and then you pay the wages.
And he took a pay cut. They said he took a pay cut, took a huge pay cut to join another team. And the thing is, like, would you have rather us spent $3 million
right now after Wilf left?
Yeah, and it's like, would you have taken us making that $3 million move to have Callum Hudson-Odoi make some first team appearances, or spend $20 million on França, who has barely played at all? You know what I'm saying? Like, it just like there's so many good moves that could have been made in this window that weren't, but money was put out
on
It doesn't make sense, man. It doesn't.
And I think that's where people complain. Not about Dean Henderson, but it's about prioritizing certain positions that you need to strengthen in. And it's been a while. We talk about Hudson-Odoi, but I mean, the right back position, I'll keep saying it. I'll keep saying it, but it's significant in a modern day. Significant to have a right back that is competent on the ball, that can do it in attack as well as defense. And Joe Ward just doesn't have the legs. He doesn't have the legs.
Bournemouth got Max Aarons for pennies. I think he cost him like 12 million, something super low.
This comment is funny, but the Paris should address the right back position by resigning Joe Ward. Exactly. I guess he did. And the final client as well. And that's why people say we don't need
in their minds. In their minds, we addressed.
I use this example, T. If you were to sign for Crystal Palace right now, T, and I was to say you're right back, yeah, I guess we have another right back. But are you good enough to play right back? I mean, you can have right back for the sake of having right back, but how good are you to actually play in a right back position? And how much do you offer to the squad? And that's my point. We have two right backs, but for me, I think they're, at this point, championship quality. They're not Premier League quality. I don't think they play for any Premier League teams out there, especially start 100%. I think it's the worst combination that a team can have in the Premier League. And I mean that with all due respect to both of them, because they're great service to the club, but I'm just saying it as as a fan and looking at other teams and what they're doing as well. Crypto saying can't really blame Roy. We've had so many injuries. I actually think he's done well with what he's working with. Blame all needs to be on Steve Parish, the pound stretch chairman. Says Crypto. Graham says, yep, they should have compromised on the keeper budget and reallocated to other positions. Yeah, Anthony randomly saying, my gosh, Will Hughes is rubbish. Well, if you see more of Will Hughes, because actually we'll quickly mention it now as well. But if you're just joining us now, like one people, please. It helps us out massively and helps the algorithm so more people can also tune in and find the channel. But there's also other reports. It doesn't end there. The negativity, unfortunately, injury reports from the game are slowly getting confirmed, and that's Cheikh Doucouré and Eze. And I'll be honest, it's not sounding good for both of them. So Eze, the latest is that he'll miss 3 to 4 weeks with an ankle injury after a Luton game, which is a massive blow with key games coming up against West Ham and Bournemouth. So 3 to 4 weeks. Eze's games that he'll be missing most likely will be West Ham, Bournemouth, Liverpool, maybe City. He might be back for Brighton. So, missing key games there. Eze's going to be out for nearly a month. And it doesn't only end there. We'll check Decore. He only gets even worse. He is... I can't find a report now, but there was a report I saw earlier that he could potentially be out for basically the rest of the season. It's a serious injury. Roy said it as well after the game, but that's what it's looking like right now. I'll try to find the link to it and the source to it. But yeah, so both of them, Decore, Eze out. But I mean, Will Hughes, I don't think Will Hughes is the problem, but he shouldn't be.
He's not the problem, but he's definitely not the answer.
What was that?
I said he's not the problem, but he's definitely not the answer.
Yeah, it's not the answer as well, but yeah, that's how it is. Potter in, says Eze Ball. Fair enough. Then again, if we really wanted Potter, and if Potter wanted to join Palace, then we had
that would happen by
this summer.
That would happen by now.
You get it?
Yeah,
I think McKenna's the most, I'll say realistic, but will be an exciting one. The Ipswich town manager who's been doing very well there. Likes to play attacking football as well. But then again, why would he want to leave now? If Roy was to leave, why would he want to leave now? He could potentially be in the Premier League next season. And he's got something good going on right now. Like, that's the thing. You need to sell a project right now. I mean, if we had something going on and, the club can sell a project, then maybe. But as a fan looking in, maybe it's just me, but it doesn't look that great, to be fair. There's always problems with Palace. Just need to convince the FA to let us register Ward and Klein with the same number and play them simultaneously. Yeah, and then when we find a right back position, if we have both of them playing together, I think, that'll cover it. Twist is saying not being relegated each year is our trophy, low expectations. 100%. 100%. And this is where the divide from the fan base comes in. Because some people are saying, when I say some people, less and less people are saying this now. Oh, look, we're a Premier League club. Look where we were 2010. Potentially weren't going to be a football club and all of this other, looking back at the history, just living off history. There's them fans and then there's fans like me who's saying, why not take the risk? I mean, what's the purpose? What is the purpose of just trying to stay up every single season? And if we try and it doesn't work, fair enough. But this season, we clearly didn't want to try. The manager said top 10, by the way. And also, I think C. Parrish said top 10 when Roy signed a extension at the club to stay on until the season. What happens if we don't achieve top 10? Oh, what? Roy Hodgson goes. Well, I mean, no one's going to really be accountable for it. It's the same thing. Words being said for the sake of words being said. It's just boring. It's just boring as a fan. You want to see a bit more. You want to see a bit more ambition. We are improving the stadium facilities, but that's going to take to what? 2026, 2027? I mean, geez, we're going to be in the Premier League for like 15 years. And then we're still going to be aiming to stay up every single season. I don't know. Chris saying, I thought Eze said he would be all right. Well, according to reports today, it's 3 to 4 weeks, but I guess we'll find out in the next few days whether that's true or not. Andy's saying, here's the thing, is Roy that picks the same players every week? Is Roy that makes no subs or limited subs? Is Roy who rubbishes youth? Raksaki, Francois, Ahmad are all looking for time. Yeah, Roy deserves to take a bit of blame as well, but it's
it's definitely a shared. It's definitely a shared blame for sure.
Yeah, if the alternative is Paddy, then I mean, is there a point? Is there a point? If I heard some interesting names, I'll be like, oh, all right, get rid of Roy. But I mean, what's really going to change here? That's my whole purpose. That's like I just don't understand it. Enough said saying, I'm sorry, but he's on a 1-year contract. How much pressure can he actually be under? It's not like it ever seemed like he was interested in staying beyond this year. Do you agree with that? I thought he was, clearly he was interested. That's why he signed another deal. It's not like we held a gun to his head.
Yeah, I mean, if he didn't have interest, he wouldn't be here. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's I think that's the long and short of it, because he had an out. He had an out after 10 games. If he didn't want to come back, he wouldn't have. So, I mean, pressure is pressure. When you assume the position of being a Premier League manager or a manager of professional football, period, you assume a great deal of pressure for you and your team to perform. And that's just how it works.
Yeah. Because they're talking about relegation. But the reports anyway, the club is looking at potential relegation danger if the form continues, which right now I'm not really thinking about relegation because I think the teams below us are worse. But if you have, let's say, an investment in something that's worth like hundreds of millions of pounds and that can drastically change, you have to take precautions. Like, you can say the teams below are worse, but if we didn't win these games and we got the Cities and the Liverpools and all them teams coming up, then you have to be aware. You have to, if a change is needed, change is needed. But funny enough, I mean, how long did it take for these conversations to start happening? Till the end of November. We didn't even go into the new year, and we're talking about, is he under pressure?
I think part of it, though, too, the whole relegation talk things, because you lose to a team that is one of the odds-on favorite to be relegated from the league. So it's like, how good are we if we're losing to them?
Exactly. If they can pick up points against us, then it might be time to look at home and think, what's going on there. Andy's saying sort out the board first. I mean, I don't know about you two. We're going to wrap up in just a few minutes time. If you're just joining us now, make sure to leave a like, and once we're done, go watch the whole show. We talk about Roy and the potential replacement if he was to leave, and whether the reports are true or not. There's people saying that there's going to be protests or flags or, I don't know, stickers for the West Ham game. It's away from home, about the board, about Steve Parish. Are we now slowly reaching that point where, I hate to say it, but things are going to start getting more toxic than ever before? Because it's been building up, and I've seen a lot of people that's been talking about Steve Parish and the ownership and the board. You can say it was like a minority, but I think the numbers are growing by the week. Do you think now there's pressure on Steve Parish as well? Because this golden shares business has been on people's minds for ages. Even now, people are mentioning it as well. I mean, yes, he basically calls the shots and he does what he wants. Where do you stand with, the board situation? Steve Parish, Texter, Harrison Blitzer?
I mean, I would really like to see some change be made, because, I mean, I've tried to do my own research on how many companies, organizations, professional sports teams have a situation where a minority owner has decisive administrative control. And I'm still yet to find one. Like,
it's weird. I get why he's got that power. He's got that power because the others agreed to it as well. It's not like he just one day woke up and he didn't have the power and the others were there. I think they agreed to it, but they regret it now.
They regret it, because number one,
Texas said it in the Athletics.
Yeah, because I mean, it's unheard of. It's counterproductive. It's not sustaining. Like, they regret it because it's a horrible decision. It was a horrible decision. You know what I'm saying? So like, they're in a situation that is unlike any other. I'm sure any other ownership in our league, in the championship, they're like, why would you do that? Why would that ever be the set? That's anybody who owns a business is like, no, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah. But look, people, you know what's funny? The January transfer window's coming up. Roy Hodgson's job is under pressure. The board, potentially there's going to be protests around it, but we're going to be covering it all. We're going to try to be more consistent. When I say we, me, and hopefully we can bring on T here and the others as well. But as always, if you have enjoyed this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Things are getting heated up at Palace now that results are going against us. Unfortunately, injuries are picking up as well. Eze, Decore, massive game against West Ham. There's going to be a match preview, opposition preview, and more. If you're just joining us now, make sure to watch the whole show. We talk about Roy. We talk about who could potentially be coming in, the board, and more. Leave down your thoughts in the comment section down below. That's it from me and T. And until next time, up the Palace.